Hello, welcome to aaaaand. No time to chat. My name's Anuki. Let's get into the match and introduce the players. Now, it sounds difficult for the entire of the 101st Airborne to play with only one mouse and one keyboard, but hey, they've worked with less, am I right? Double planes going straight overhead. 101st Airborne will be wearing the red patches today as they drop into the zone with a machine gun. Falsha Pioneers will challenge them for the middle fuel point. We're gonna get a duel! Alright, quickly, let's introduce the other players. On their way to back up their friends is Liam. Now, I'm gonna call them Liam. I think their name is Korean. I super apologize, my phone cannot translate this. Liam trying to head into the church. Now, if I can't read your name, I will just give you a generic name based on the faction you are playing. Standard epic backstory if you want. Liam was a spy in World War II who infiltrated the upper echelon of the German High Command as a clown. They thwarted numerous operations by making stormtroopers wear big red glow-in-the-dark nose, distributed clown shoes to global Nazis who later would step on multiple mines. I suppose that'll do for a backstory. Then as the Africa Corps, in the blue, we have St. Helios. They're just working on capturing things at the moment. But their pioneers working their way up as well as they fight Liam. St. Helios. Ooh, a blue bishop, is it? Playing Company of Heroes 3. I assume this is referring to Helios of Lyon, who tragically died on account of being a French bishop. And they are finally joined by Carl of Yellow. They've won this fuel point. Carl, their great-grandmother worked in counter-espionage and were able to uncover a clown which had infiltrated German High Command after a bouncy castle liaison gone wrong. Carl is Wehrmacht, and I don't know if we want to pity them or not. Wehrmacht is just getting absolutely destroyed in the world of Company of Heroes 3 right now. Whew. Glad to be out of the introduction phase. Really important, though, to introduce our players because these casts are simply not possible without you, the player. So join the Discord and post your replays, please. Now we're getting Red Riflemen of the 101st Airborne moving up straight into German territory, capturing all that. We got a 250 out on the field with Panzer Grenadiers. We have a second 250 out as well. St. Helios has got the heavy cover. They've also got the high ground. I'm loving this fanning out of infantry. The Americans are trying to find a gap that they can get around. Very difficult place to assault here. Lots of airborne dropping in. Now, I will flick between the perspectives, just so you can get an idea of what kind of forces are on the field for every player. Getting a big battle here in the middle. As the players approach from opposite sides, we have a small yellow plane which is taking out the kneecaps of one of the riflemen. But he's able to keep it together. That plane is going to go on forever. 250s get the flanking shots onto the riflemen, absolutely destroying them. So this is actually going to be the first 2v2 cast I've actually done, which is interesting for me. I don't actually know what kind of tactics people like to do in 2v2s. I played a bit of 2v2s in the stress test. Everyone was not playing by the meta rules then. We weren't seeing Falsha Pioneers spammed out. Interesting choice to get the heavy machine gun dropping down first of all, as if that would not have been contested. But the Falsha Pioneers were there, they were able to contest, and now we're getting some friendly healing going on. I love it! That's the kind of teamwork I wish to see. Liam trying to move their machine gun back into the church building. Whilst we've got a few flanking soldiers. Scouts moving around the back.
Enemy forces have captured the victory point.
The 250s. Getting well repaired. Machine gun firing from the church building. It'd be good if it was hitting the 250, but there's just too many targets to pick. Oh, the yellow honeybees suckle to their mother half-tracks for protection. One half-track upgraded with the autocannon. This isn't a team-based game for Liam and Helios, it's a symbiotic relationship. And we here at Aaaaand are open to showcasing all kinds of ways that people can go inhabit spaces. Half-track going in deep. Bars have just been upgraded for Liam. Don't think that a sticky grenade would have quite killed that if they could throw one out. But the squad was pretty low on health. And speaking of which, though at the moment we're just showcasing a monogamous duo, let's say, just a reminder, wow, big assault here, that I am hoping to build a kick-ass 4v4 mod, which blows your poly relationship mind. Be awesome, and I am making maps for that as well. I might stream some of the map making process. We need a lot of more maps out there, definitely. This looks pretty awesome, watching all these rifle squads just go down the streets. Grenade on the door. Knock, knock, who's there? It's not the Fauch Pioneers. They're trying to slip out. But the riflemen, they were looking. They'll escape with a couple of their lives. Liam on the right, we have some airborne out on the field. The autocannon is running away from it. I can sense some M9 bazookas coming shortly for those paratroopers. Allies looking in dominant control of the map. We got 2 half-tracks out, a Panzer Grenadier squad and a Panzer Pioneer squad for Helios, their ally. Picking up a lot of the infantry slack. 3 Fauch Pioneers, 2 regular Pioneers. They've also got a Jaeger squad, and they're bringing a Flak 30. It's got a lot of targets to shoot. That's an M9 bazooka. If you're wondering what the difference between the Flak 30 and the Flak 38 are, because they look and seemingly perform similar, the best answer I could give is the Flak 38 has a higher rate of fire. The German army wasn't so keen on the Flak 30's slow rate of fire, and also it jammed a bunch, but you know what, with the minimal amount of research I've done, what weapon in World War II didn't jam? That seems to be a fairly common complaint. 101st Airborne there, trying to do some backcapping. Oh, this is a long stretch of road to run down with the 2 autocannon half-tracks right on their tail. Jaeger squad getting some slaps in. Fauch Pioneers giving a bit of a high five. Good luck to you. 1 soldier left, and by God, they've only gone and done it. Now with this flak out on the battlefield, I expect to see the Axis forces being able to push out and hold the area better. Got to get into some wide open spaces with the flak, because they won't do too well near buildings. Paratroopers entering in from behind, gonna get some rear shots on the half-tracks. This is all too perfect. Ooh. Just getting out of range there, cutting it very, very close. Now around the church area, there's a lot of wide open spaces that flak will crave, but along the left side of the map, it's all densely packed residential areas. Stug D firing into the building. I thought it would have done more damage than that. Still good though. It's a fairly effective weapon against infantry or units in buildings. Breach. Love to see it, but it very rarely gets to go off. Seeing a lot of Liam, but not much of the 101st Airborne. They seem stuck in that residential area. Whereas Liam kind of hovering around the church area. So the Allies kind of dividing the map whilst the Axis share their toys. Best friends forever. The Axis working together towards a common goal like Goebbels and Himmler. The Allies working together like Ren and Stimpy. And this is quite a narrow map. Reminds me of Rails and Metal, if you remember that from Company of Heroes 1 and 2. So I feel it's definitely encouraged to weave a fabric of teamwork. I doubt that the MG team are praying for a Stug D to bury them alive, or whatever they were praying for, they'll take them and run back to base. Liam dropping another paratrooper team. No one gets to play in the church anymore, it seems. Employing the scorched earth strategy. Not scorched earth enough, though, it seems here. It's supposed to flatten the ground completely, so you've got a clear line of sight for all your fancy long-range weapons. Stug D having no trouble with the paratrooper squad. All infantry will bow before the Stug D. To get those M9 bazookas, but also the Stugs have pretty good front armor. Side shots recommended.
A capture point is being overrun.
Carl getting these riflemen surrounded with all kinds of pioneers. Oh, maybe not. The double pioneers just standing, capturing the point. With grenades, I think, ejecting the Felcher pioneer from the building. Long throw, though. One rifleman soldier left. No rifleman soldier left. 101st Airborne losing the squad there. That Flak 30 is in a beautiful position. A couple of Jaegers in front for protection, too. Stug D creeping around the church, gets a sticky on it. In come the autocannon half-track. Stickies on them, or at least one of them. Definitely better to get the stickies on the half-tracks. Ain't gonna do too much to the Stug D. Just flicking over to the 101st Airborne. After losing that rifleman squad, they're down to 3 rifles. The scout squad, engineer. We do have a vehicle on its way.
We have territory under attack.
Grenades away onto the pioneers. Oh! The one guy implodes. Could have been worse, though. Was able to ever so slightly move out of the way.
Lost the territory sector.
Something I find interesting about the US at the moment is there's a real subversion to buying AT infantry from the Weapons Support Center. Airborne is the dominant battle group. It's the battle group that everyone and their mother is picking. We have 3 autocannon 250s now. Helios really devoting themselves to getting the vehicles out, whilst Carl is responsible for handling maintenance. Damn, that looks so aggressive. There's a medic just kind of fumbling around there. Ever grateful that you can't shoot medics anymore. Now, in the mod thing that I want to create, as I just browse around the bases here, I have a big list of things I know I can do, and then there's a list of things that I'd like to do, but I don't know how yet. And then there's a list of things that I simply don't think are going to be possible. And on that list is actual medics that you can control to recover the wounded. Now, actual medics is not a problem. We saw that in Company of Heroes 2. And you might ask why I'd want that. Well, for this particular 4v4 mod, players will be divided into roles fighting a battle that is on the scale between a 1v1 and a 2v2. Got so much heavy fire. So one person will be playing as support and logistics, and they'll be handling the engineers and the medics. Most other players handle infantry roles or vehicular roles. Liam here is out in force, but it's not enough to just have the numbers. They need the tools and hardware that are capable of withstanding Stug rounds. That was a devastating blow. Half tracks, rolling, not out. I thought they were gonna just gun for it, but they see the paratroopers with the M9 bazooka and slightly hesitant there. Honestly, 3 autocannon half tracks should not really be fearing a paratrooper squad. Carl and Helios starting their lockdown around the church. Where are you going, half tracks? Just want to take a peek inside the bases, maybe? What they're going to find, though, is Sherman rolling out. It's going to be up to the Jaegers with the Panzerschrecks to deal with them. Was that a penetration shot? A rear hit and a side hit? I did not even know that was possible. I'm not sure if it's possible after witnessing it. Here come those Jaeger, well, just one Jaeger with the Panzerschreck. I mean, I think it's a task that they're up for. No doubt the 101st Airborne will want more Shermans, but it'll be important not to throw this first one away. Don't just jump in to the wolf's jaws. Got a Marder 3 out here as well, so yeah, more than enough anti-tank power. It's at this point that the Allies... Oh, that stuck shot, I was expecting it to do more. The Allies might want to consider moving over to the other side of the map. They do decrew the flak. A heck of a push just to get the crew of the flak. Marder might be going down, though. M9 bazookas at range did a lot of damage. And when you've got enemies which are concentrated onto one side of the map like this, it is usually preferable to try and poke in areas where they're not. And at the moment, sending your infantry over complete open ground to fight the metal monster with sticks might be less preferable to fighting them through the houses in Trenti. Limit the vehicle's movements through those buildings. You'll be able to get paratroopers firing their bazookas through the windows as well. Pull the Axis forces away from the church and then hit them from the sides. Charge over that open ground. Geesh, this area is so neglected. We've got a pioneer party here. And the Arbeit, Flacher. I'm sure there's some repairs or tank traps, barbed wire to be constructing, or maybe Carl has grown a soft spot for their employees. Cowardice! You should rule with an iron fist. Like the Americans, who just ruthlessly send their soldiers into the meat grinder. And soon we might need lab-grown meat grinders for all your lab-grown soldiers. Oh, hey, Liam is being less direct. Moving around the train station. Now, attacking from a different direction is good. They've only got one paratrooper squad here with a bazooka. Well, 2 bazookas. Let's see what magic they can make happen. Maybe they're just looking to backcap some territory. Backcapping might seem like a smart thing to do, but in a narrow map like this, in a flame battle like this, retreating often means you will be retreating through all kinds of bad stuff. 101st Airborne have managed to keep their Sherman ticking. No new tanks on the field, though, and that's probably the best thing that they could bring to try and get rid of some of these armored half-tracks out, the whirlwinds. Liam getting behind a lot of stuff, but with only riflemen and sticky grenades, you can't truly accomplish much. Interesting, the 101st Airborne got a recovery vehicle over the field repairs. It still costs to recover vehicles, and it's going to be hard to do that if the vehicle dies in a non-defensible position, and it takes like 60 seconds to recover a vehicle. Now, something else I found strange about that, and I assume this is bugged or maybe I'm wrong, the repair rate is supposed to increase with veterancy, but whether Vet 0 or Vet 3, it still takes about 30 seconds to repair a Sherman to full health from low. And on that note, the repair vehicle doesn't even gain veterancy for repairing. You have to be near combat for it to soak XP. It's a bit baffling, and I can see why maybe a lot of how this works is gone missed. It's difficult to find a situation where the recovery vehicle will really pay off, especially considering the costs. 300 manpower, 45 fuel. Massive concentration of forces. I just think to myself, artillery would be beautiful right now. Sometimes artillery is the answer. Most times it usually is not. Now, on the bright side, unlike infantry, that repair vehicle won't die super fast whilst making repairs in combat. I still don't think we're going to be able to see one in this 2v2, but again, interesting to see that chosen over the field repairs ability. Liam out here in force, more infantry to greet them this time, which is a much warmer welcome than usual. The German mechanized forces currently undergoing maintenance, as most of their vehicles regularly had to. Seems like what we got here is almost an 18th century line-up battle. Everyone just shooting across an open field. We got a Hellcat showing up.
We've lost a squad
Couldn't
of
have
riflemen.
made it here a little earlier, buddy. War's already over. Liam must have forgotten to install the radios with a clock in there. And this is looking good. There's an AT gun. 101st Airborne have got their special airdropped Shermans. I mean, why call yourself 101st Airborne if you're not going to pick Airborne? To fool the enemy? Because it ain't working. Double the martyr, double the penetration. Taking out the martyrs would be a good job for paratroopers with bazookas. But there's only one squad of those that Liam has. They are super lightly armored, easy and quick to kill if you can get in range. The paratrooper squad ordered to deal with the 2 Stug Ds, Flak 30, Faucher Pioneer squad, 2 Jaeger squads. Paratroopers are good, but they ain't that fucking good. And the Axis, they don't want to advance any more forward. They are happy to play a long, drawn-out defense. AT gun, not able to keep up with the range of the Stug Ds, loses their crew. Hellcat is also seen, so it's not going to be any surprise. And Hellcats need that surprise. They need that flanking element.
The battle is in our favor.
Carl's got a Panzer
Secure
IV
our
on the
victory.
field as well, so the armor elements just keep stacking up. I always feel like there should be a fuel upkeep. We have a manpower upkeep, but a fuel upkeep would kind of mean that you get a Panzer IV out, and then... God, another devastating assault for Liam. You get a Panzer IV out, and then the next one takes slightly longer to make, and the next one slightly longer to make. So you can still mass up tanks and have that kind of play style if you want, but it's rewarding you for keeping your tanks alive for the duration. Especially early on, because if you just got 1 tank out, it's a lot easier to deal with than when you have 3 tanks out. Kind of like a snowball effect. Ooh, mortars out here for the 101st Airborne. I can get behind that. How many engineers can fit in a car? We're not playing this game, Mike. We're playing Pokemons.
Standing by.
Germans making their move with their 76mm cannon. Oh, great, the half tracks are flooring it. One is destroyed. Saint Helios to respond with the Wrath of God. And God's Wrath should be enough, but Helios is sending their half tracks in as well. Triggering a mine there. One of the Shermans is down. Another half track destroyed.
We're down to 300 points.
Engineers here to get those repairs underway. Do the Martyrs want to give this chase? No, they see that very narrow-looking funnel between the buildings and decide it's not so great for them. Liam
We should spend our
to then take up the mantle, getting some side shots into the whirlwind. Imagine if this attack was coordinated. The Martyrs scramble into position. There's just one Hellcat to deal with. It's no bother at all. 2 mortars for the 101st Airborne. Lots of buildings to hide behind. What they need is targets to barrage. Behind this church might be good. Displacing the medic truck. Have a rocket air barrage coming in. It's at least cleared some space, but they're walking straight into a flak. Gotta get a grenade on there, perhaps, with those mortars. A smoke barrage would have been very comforting to have. These offensives are a massive manpower drain for the Allies. Still, though, this is massive progress. They've pushed the Axis forces to behind the church. Whirlwind ends up getting destroyed. Great shooting from the AT gun and the Hellcat. This one lone Sherman on the sidelines. Some infantry just up ahead. 101st Airborne pushing their side of the map. These engineers. Well, there's one less engineer squad. And you can see St. Helios was using those armored half-tracks to just dart around to assist their allies very quickly with dealing with any infantry threats. However, we're only down to one of those now. Martyrs coming up behind that Sherman. We should have suspected this. Double side shots. I think a couple more shots from this distance. Ooh, getting behind that wall. Very nicely maneuvered. Carl has got 2 Panzer IVs now. The 101st Airborne have rebuilt their second Shermans,
Munitions point is being attacked.
so it's somewhat equal in that regard. Still plenty of tickets for the Allies to play with. We're only just reaching the halfway mark. 250 on the dot.
250.
328 for the Axis. And Liam, their death ball is so close to that victory point. The paratroopers are tasting it. Mortars on that flak. Great job.
The enemy has lost their foothold.
Getting a couple of squads to retreat as well. I mean, I don't know how the Allies are starting to encroach upon this territory. It reminds me of that Futurama thing, like, oh, the enemy have a preset kill limit. Captain Retinue ordering the soldiers to stand still?
The enemy have
The Panzer IV's vision is based on movement. Can't hurt you if you... Oh god, we're dying! Run away! No, don't run away. The Panzer IV's vision is based on movement. What did I just tell you? Oh, the Hellcats advanced really far forward. So was the AT gun. Not much infantry to screen for these elements, though.
have been cut down.
Hellcat is cut down, just like the narrator says. AT gun getting flanked. Machine gun can't do much. Mortars, they are way out of position and getting airstriked. Double Shermans engaging the Panzer IVs. Wow, tougher than popping open some Pringles and stopping. It might look like the Shermans have an advantage, but the Comrade Inmaders getting those flanking shots in, punishing one of the Shermans at least. 2nd Panzer IV lucky to be alive. The Allies have not ceased their assault, though. They have ceased their assault, though. Those engineers. The 101st Airborne has very little confidence in their engineers. I'm loving that they've moved over to the church side of the map, though, with their infantry. And again, they do seem to be just pushing the Axis a few centimeters back.
We must act.
Red Rifleman tossing a grenade over. The Fausch Pioneers and the Jaeger squad neatly move out of the way.
Victory point now under enemy control.
Firing those flames right through the hole in the back of the Stug D. Not many people know about that hole. Goes right through the tank. Specifically allows for the flamethrowers to do such a thing.
We're tracking them on 300 points.
And people say Company of Heroes is realistic. Oh, it doesn't need to be realistic. It's fun. That's okay. The recap in effect for the Axis now. Liam's got a Sherman of their own. They won't have the 76mm upgrade, though.
Rifleman squad deployed.
Liam rushing out to this victory point, church side. Standing on it, taking Stug fire, half-track fire, Jaeger squad on its way. Machine gun sets up. Won't be able to deal with much. We've got aircraft coming in.
German tank finished and ready.
It's a good scatter. The crew of the Sherman getting knocked around a bit, but the bullets just ping off harmlessly. Liam to fall back. Geez, this map has been devastated. Although it's relatively unscathed on the top side, Sherman realizing it can't capture things without infantry. Now this would be really the perfect spacing for a giant Flak 36. Its range is marvelous, though if you're the Allies, it's sketchy, hard to predict, even harder to shake, because sometimes when it fires on you, you just can't get out of its line of sight quick enough. Certainly my preferred method anyway. It means you wouldn't have to have all these tanks on the field, just have the strongest anti-tank countermeasure that you could possibly field,
300 points
maybe
remaining.
2 of them. And then the rest you can just leave up to infantry, so you can always be pushing out the front line.
Radar 30 machine guns have been made
And you
available.
need vision for something like a flak to work to its fullest. This armored half-track has done really well. Vet 2 on it. A couple of Shermans on this side of the map for 101st Airborne. Need that infantry to support it. Doesn't feel like these mortars have paid off too much yet. Again, I think really the biggest tool that they have is these smokes that they could be dropping down. We'll just allow for the infantry to stand inside of there. We've got a Tiger out on the field. Unfortunately, the Panzer IV wreckage won't hold up too well against all of the stuff around here. And it just looks like stuff now. Carl and St. Helios have a collection of antiques, a mismatch of a bit of everything. An episode of Bargain Hunt or Cash in the Attic. What's this in the church attic? Why, it's a 19th century Tiger tank. The Germans would use this to travel very short distances and destroy any leftover fuel reserves. Let's see how much it'll fetch at auction. And then they get like 100 puns and they say they're going on holiday to Skegness, which really is only slightly worse than what we're witnessing on screen. The Allies now have got themselves a serious challenge with the Tiger tank on the field. They were already having trouble before this monster appeared. Now it's going to be a nightmare. But again, not more nightmarish than Skegness. I'm surprised we don't have a Silent Hill game set there. And I suppose for our non-British viewers, Skegness is shit. It's where the family takes you when you're little and thinks you don't know the difference between what a good holiday is. But there is no true holiday in the 90s than staying at home with your Amiga or Sega Mega Drive. Yeah! Scrolling across this battlefield, you can see how St. Helios is very reliant on their partner for infantry. Just a Panzer Grenadier squad and a Panzer Pioneer squad. We've got the Shermans moving up. Going to take out the last of the armored half-tracks. Oh, hang on a moment. That Jaeger squad's got 2 Panzer Treks on them. Thieved buggers. In comes the Panzer IVs. And every time these Shermans engage, they always seem to lose one. Liam on the bottom side of the map. Looks like they're trying to get in position for their own attack. Just inching into the victory point there. Mortars raining down onto the Pioneers. Trying to do some light repairs on the Tiger. Not that it really needs it. But hey, if a mortar's gonna force a Tiger tank back, pretty awesome. Sometimes it's not about how much damage it does, just how scary it looks. Black 30's got a pretty spot-on position. Shooting at about max range there. Mortars firing on its location. We got a couple of Caro Amatos back here as well, waiting to ambush probably this Sherman here. Neglected to mention much about the battle groups. Battle groups just feel rather empty. I mean, they are supposed to define a play style, but everyone except for Liam here is just armor. And even Liam is realizing that they need armor. Carl's gone Luftwaffe, but that's just to have some strong Fellowship Pioneers to help repair the Afrika Korps tanks. Helios is the Italian armor. At least this one makes sense. We've got all this armor on the field. 101st Airborne is armored as well. Game makes sense. Liam is airborne, struggling, now going armor. Even if you removed all of the armor-based battle groups, we'd still get this similar play style. Massive Axis charge, pushing back the Allied armor. The cheap Italian tanks thrown into the battle, Allied and Axis planes overhead to lend support. 3 mortar teams just shrugging.
Hey Dave mate, you hear anything? Probably just a soothing wind.
One's actually a mortar pit, which I forget that they exist, because I suspect probably most people do. In the distance, Carl sends their panzers forward. Ooh, low-flying plane touches the rooftop. Now, Helios doesn't really give a damn about these light tanks. They're just here as a sacrificial spearhead. Liam's lost their whole company. 101st Airborne is more like the 101st Mortarborne. Tough as steel, these guys stay on the battlefield, but the white flag is raised for the Allies. St. Helios and Carl are the victoires. And it's about damn time for tea. I'm going to refill a brew and do a little 1v1 map making. If you would like to be a superstar, come join the Discord and help me test the map. Your feedback would be greatly appreciated, and I hope to have it playable soon, so details on that will be on the Discord. In the meantime, look around for that subscribe button on YouTube. I left it around here somewhere, and I'll see you next time.